Chat, let's go watch the video. I'm actually so curious. Chat, I've been playing Osu Lazer for quite a bit now, yeah? So now I'm invested. Lazer's inconsistent hit window is official Osu upload.
If my sleep schedule is ruined again.
Oh, hello, KSRVIIXI. No, XVIII. What's up, dude? Welcome back. Maybe 13 months. Don't worry, my sleep schedule is already doomed. I am struggling to like fight against it. I'm literally doing everything possible that might help my sleep. So last night I stopped eating at 12 p.m. But then I kept feeling hungry while I was trying to sleep, so that kind of backfired. I've also started wearing blue light blocking clip-on glasses that I found on Amazon for $10. It was like a Prime Day deal, so I got it. So I started wearing those like after 6 p.m. It's still not working though. Maybe it takes a bit to kick in. Who knows? Ab Hormok, congratulations, man. Stop playing Uma Musume. That will fix your issue. Why did this game have to come out at this time when I'm trying to be productive? It's actually fucked up. Anyways, Lazer's inconsistent hit windows. Let's take a look.
Let's say you want to change your skin's cursor. In Stable, you open the folder, then replace the cursor file. Amazing. In Lazer, things weren't so easy. You'd have to export the skin, import it to Stable, or change file extensions to something editable, open the folder, adjust the cursor images, reset it back to an OSK file, and import it to Lazer. While skins in Lazer are overall really adaptable, this basic process has been annoying for way too long.
True.
But not anymore.
You can now click a menu option and immediately have access to the raw files of your skins. It is really a first step and the bare minimum we can do in this area, because what I would like to see
That
in
saves
the
like
skin
3
editor
clicks.
is having all this kind of functionality built in with the ability to drag and drop resources in to replace them and not having to deal with the raw file system with Windows Explorer at all. And that's something which will probably come online later this year. Like, skinning is my next major focus in the game. Once
Wait, that's so
Song Select version
exciting!
2 is out and done.
Oh my god,
Before we
dude.
talk about Song
I know for a
Select,
lot
though,
of
there were a
players,
few
like,
other skinning
not
changes.
being able
Last
to
update added
modify
skinnable
the
sounds
UI
for the
has
skin
been a
element,
huge pain point.
and now that also works for the legacy version. Rotating stuff in the skin editor used to be pretty unintuitive. Now it works like you'd expect. And you can change the boldness of text elements. Okay, now on to Song Select V2. Or maybe we should just call it Song Select at this point, because there's no way to access the old one now.
Oh,
It's
damn!
kind of like a whirlwind for me, because I've been working through a to-do list that I made myself, which is just what we call like an epic issue, where it's just a combination of all the other issues that people have raised with the feature. There's been a lot of things that are cosmetic or behavioral that like don't really affect the system as a whole, but these very small pieces contribute to people having blockers, which means they can't switch across to V2. And some people are very, very loud about that fact.
Some of these blockers were properly game-breaking, like lag spikes or other performance issues, but most complaints were about tiny things, like the back button. It didn't extend all the way to the bottom left corner,
What the-
so everyone used to flinging their mouse had to actually aim until this update. Similarly,
Skill
changing
issue.
mods and immediately clicking the bottom right corner just wasn't possible. You had to wait like a quarter of a second longer, which gets in the way of workflows, you know? The new Song Select brought back Stable's arrow key traversal, and players soon figured out it wasn't quite the same. When going up or down, Stable would automatically select difficulties within a set, while in Lazer, the difficulties would only be hovered.
Yeah, I was
that's
really
some
annoyed
bits.
by this.
Stable also had Shift plus arrow keys as shortcuts to switch between groups, so Lazer now does too. And just like Stable, the random button will now select maps only within the open group. Not everything is about matching Stable though. This leaderboard hover thing has been slightly redesigned, adding accuracy color coordination, as well as PP values.
Damn,
in
that's a
local
lot more
leaderboards.
information. What the?
Plus, you can now click and hold this empty area to show a map's background.
In the process, I removed blurring the background at Song Select. We had so much negative feedback about adding that in the first place that I was like, well, no one's going to want this in V2, so we might as well just remove it and make the default having it non-blurred. And like within minutes of creating that pull request, there were like 4 or 5 downvotes on it. The second you add a setting to a game, you cannot ever remove that setting. So I added it back and added support to V2. To my eyes, it's a huge blur and it feels like I need new glasses prescription or something, but it is what it is.
That's fucked up.
Apart from that, I think there's a couple of A couple, one group mode which was added that wasn't there before. Grouping by source. I think it's a pretty cool one. This one's also going to get in, which is that when you hide or delete a beat map right now, it like jumps to a random map instead of selecting the next one.
Okay. Oh no, that's me! Oh, what the hell? Why is it shorten it? Can I have it extended out like this?
With this new option, yeah, you can. And on the topic of leaderboards, you can see contextually relevant leaderboards in both playlists
Devs,
and daily
listen!
challenge as of today's update.
Devs, listen!
There's so many times I've been playing a map where I realize I want to change the offset, but I accidentally hit quick retry instead of pausing and retrying. Previously, the game would just say my last play was too short, but as of now, it calibrates based on the last valid play. So this quick retry versus pause retry situation won't cause problems anymore.
Oh, that's
if there's
interesting.
anything I can talk about in gameplay, it's going to be on the replay stuff. The major underlying issues here was that the actual game's hit windows never matched between Stable and Lazer. You know, this was back in the day where we were like, we're making Lazer correct. Probably everyone watching this is well aware. We have rolled back a lot of those changes to be like, well, everyone is used to how it works on Stable, so let's just leave it that way because it's how it works and it's easier to make everything work together, have the same leaderboards, that kind of stuff. But hit windows were never averted. We never actually got to fixing this one. In Lazer, we implemented it in a way that made more sense, and Stable does some weird stuff with like rounding on the edge values.
Oh wait,
I'm
I
gonna
have no
pause here
idea.
to explain just
Thumbs
what's
up
going on
emoji.
because it's kind of complicated.
Hello, Alex!
Each of these segments is a hit window, and clicking within the hit window gives you the associated accuracy. Let's say this hit window is plus or minus 100.2 milliseconds. In Lazer, clicking 100.1 milliseconds early would give full accuracy, and clicking 100.3 milliseconds early would not. Stable replays are stored with clicks on whole millisecond values. So
Whoa!
both of these hits would be rounded to here. Not ideal. Instead of accounting for fractional millisecond precision, Stable sidestepped this problem by adjusting its hit windows. First, floor the value, then subtract 0.5. This way, every click is always correctly rounded within a hit window.
Wait, is this why sometimes on Stable, like, I'll have this issue where all of my hits are grouped up into lines? And it looks exactly like this? I always thought that was a bug with, like, my keyboard or, like, my PC. But you're telling me that Stable is the client doing that? And then everything else is just a visual thing to me? Oh my god! Oh my god! I always thought it had something to do with like the refresh rate of my peripherals. That's insane!
If you ever watched a Stable replay in Lazer and noticed it had higher accuracy by the end, this is why. Stable's hit windows are smaller by 0.5 to 1.5 milliseconds. Anyway, back to Peppy.
So yeah, we were kind of holding back on it, but Spaceman was just like, we make it match Stable. We make sure that we have good test coverage of this and let's just push it forward. And everyone was kind of on board at this point. So replays should be in a pretty good state in terms of playback accuracy. There's one exception to this rule, which is that any replays which were made on Lazer up until now have the assumptions of the old hit windows, both replays and scores. Most people hit in like a bell curve around the actual hit time, and this only affects the hits which were already on the edge of being 100s. It does mean that replays which were recorded in previous versions of Lazer will potentially have the same issue in the other direction because now they're having the stable hit windows applied to them. We've considered what we can do about that, but we're probably just going to live with it at this point. Yeah.
Yeah! Say
This
fucking
feature
and
has
move on!
existed for a while, which makes the editor feel way less crowded, but I never really used it because it was kind of just obnoxious. You go to click polygon or something, then it would expand and scroll somewhere else in the process. As of this change though, it retains your mouse position, making contracted sidebars infinitely more comfortable to use. The editor also always shows key I in the timeline now, even if it's 1 millisecond long. Copying object timestamps in catch now includes their combo numbers, even though they don't have numbers. Don't think too hard about that. And most importantly, I'd argue, slider shapes don't unexpectedly change anymore. Apparently, the coordinates of these anchors were being rounded before, causing inconsistencies between what you see while mapping and what you see after saving and reloading the map.
Oh, that's weird.
There are a few minor changes left that I don't have much to say about, so I'll just run through them real quick. This notice was added for failed scores. A bug allowing replays to fail early was fixed. Beatmap tags won't automatically resort themselves like this. There's a new button for viewing multiplayer and playlist rooms on the website. Daily Challenge now has this kind of calendar thing on the website too. And you can now block people from their profiles.
The
Wow,
other thing
incredible.
I'll just quickly mention is that we have been doing the Tachyon releases for the last couple of weeks, and I'm kind of getting in the paces of making that happen more often, and that's been a bit of a learning process. Like, we've had to make some changes to the way the changelog generation works and my general workflow around doing releases. The eventual goal is to have Tachyon releases be something which I can push out at a whim's notice. Even if we decide to do them daily, that should be an easy thing to do. And I think we're almost there. I think we've done probably 4 Tachyon releases since the last main release. The other thing is we actually broke compatibility with the Lazer stream because there was a database change added, which means that if someone switches to Tachyon and back to Lazer, it would nuke their songs temporarily, nuke their whole database. That's something we want to avoid in the future, so we put a process in place to make that happen, hopefully.
Sort of related, when was the new garbage collector added to Tachyon?
After the last video, probably 3 days, 2 or 3 days.
Okay, I was wondering because as soon as the video came out, I saw people go to Tachyon and be like, wow, it's so much smoother. And I'm like, was it a placebo? I don't really know.
It totally was. Yeah, and we had so many people like opening discussion threads being like, oh, thank you. The frame times feel so good. The latency is so low. It's like, yeah, sorry, but we haven't pushed that out yet. But we did also see people actually report improvements after we pushed out the GC changes, the garbage collection changes. So yeah, all is good there, except that just yesterday someone raised that there could be a memory leak. And we aren't yet sure if it's a problem with the garbage collector or a change since the last Lazer release. So that's something I need to look into today. And hopefully that doesn't hold up the next release.
Good update. Okay, chat. Let's see if my brain has been completely rotted. In this update, they fixed quite a few things. But the first one that they talked about was the skin editor. Before you had to do like 15 different clicks in order to get to your skin so you can start modifying files, they shrunk that down to basically one, where if you're in the editor, you can just click on like file and then edit skin directory, and then they'll create a folder and then allow you to edit skins. That's going to be huge for the skinning community. And Peppy mentioned that their next focus moving forward is going to be on UI customization. The new Lazer UI is now moved forward. You cannot access the old UI anymore. However, they will be focusing on ways that you can customize this UI even further through skins, which I think is huge because UI skinning is one of the biggest things that people enjoy in Stable. If you take a look at almost every single top player nowadays who continues to play on Stable, they are using a custom skin that modifies the UI to some extent. Even my skin, like the Freedom Dive skin, it switches up the UI entirely. It's an entire vibe change, you know what I'm saying? Whereas before, it was kind of just like hit circles, HP bar, combo numbers, etc., etc. Even the ranking panel is like difficult to customize. So yeah, it's been pretty chopped, but having that be the next focus for the game is pretty awesome. They added like some tweaks to like the editor. They elaborated a bit on like the timing inconsistencies between Lazer and Stable, which this is something completely new, and I think it's really insightful from videos like these. Like, I'm learning more about Stable. Like, I'm learning something new about Stable from this video that I didn't know, even though I played on that client for 10 years. 10 years of playing on that on OSU Stable, and I had no idea that it was doing that rounding system to the closest, nearest, like, what was it, 100 milliseconds? That's insane. That's actually insane. I had no idea. So, that's really cool. And then I forgot everything else. What did I miss, chat? Anything else that I miss?